So guys, in today's video, I want to be talking about how much does it actually cost to live here in my $3 million London home, as well as how did I manage to move out at 17, and should you move out? That's what we're going to be discussing in today's video. So let's get into it. So guys, I'm excited to get into this video, so yeah, let's hop into it. So when should you move out? That's the question we're going to be discussing today. So first of all, the first thing that I want to talk about is the social benefits, and here's me having a little bit of fun in, I think this is Mallorca in the summer. Now guys, the first thing that I want you to think about when you're moving out is why is it that you actually want to move out? Now, for me, there's plenty of reasons. First of all, I really just needed to get away from my childhood home. It wasn't a place of good memories to me. It wasn't a place where I was able to work well. It wasn't a place where I could really enjoy myself. And I'm a very independent and like free guy. So obviously, one of the benefits of moving out is you have total freedom. Obviously, living in a place like this alone, you could have after parties at your house. You can you could have friends over. You know, if you're a dude, or if you're a girl, whatever it may be, you can have guys or girls over and people that you're seeing, and it's a lot of fun. Okay, so that's the first thing that I want to address is it's definitely a lot of fun. So let's hop into the next point, the work benefits. Now, this is something, once again, I want you to think about. For me personally, the place that I was living in before my sort of childhood home, it wasn't a place where I was able to get work done well. There was just overall, it wasn't a very good place to work. So say working there, I would have been able to produce work that made me $20,000 a month. Whereas here I can produce work that makes me $80,000 a month. So that's something that you have to think about, is the fact that, you know, what are your current work conditions? Say you live in a room or in a really small house with, say, your parents. That can get very claustrophobic, and it can get very hard to work. So for example, with me, I'm such a lone wolf that, like, if there's anyone even in my house, I struggle to work. I really do need peace and quiet and to be to myself to work well, right? So that's something. Whereas some people, like, they can have like 4 people around them, with one sitting on the couch, one on the desk across from them, and they work completely fine. They like that collaborative sort of space. So that's another thing to think about. Now, next thing I want you to think about are, what are your other options? Okay, so this is actually a place in Bali. It's a villa out in Bali, and I just did a quick search for this. Now, first thing is, Bali in of itself is already way overpriced, so you could find somewhere probably much nicer for a better price. So this is a 2-bedroom furnished villa. It costs $1,837 per month, bills included, and there's dirt cheap living out in Bali. So guys, before you think about moving into your own place, I know if you're watching this, most likely you're an entrepreneur or some sort of like digital marketer. So you hopefully by now you have location freedom and time freedom, so that, look, if you want to, why not just get an apartment out in, or a villa out in Bali for 6 months, work on your online business out there, and then when you come back, maybe you can upgrade to even a nicer place, rather than overall it could save you like a lot of money, and it could actually be an amazing option. So that's something I want you to think about, or what are your other options before you look locally and you think about moving out. Because once again, for $2,000, probably around you could find a okay place, whereas in Bali you could live like a king. So that's something I want you to think about as well. Now, how much does my apartment cost me? This is my apartment. It's actually it's a bit of an outdated photo. It's changed a lot. I think this is from like 4 or 5 years ago. They came in and took this stuff. First thing is, I live in a 2-bedroom with a garden. It's a $3 million property, and it's also in the most expensive area of London. So those are a few things to keep in mind. Now, first thing is rent. Rent is $4,734. I converted it from pounds. Now, I actually pay 75% of this, so my rent comes out to $3,550. Now guys, I live here alone pretty much all the time. That said, my business partner and one of my best friends, if not my best friend, Bob, he comes to London a lot. So basically we have an agreement that he pays 25% of the rent, I pay 75% of the rent, and I pay all of the bills and utilities, which in this place are a lot, and we'll get to. So overall, it kind of comes out to like I pay like 5/6 of the rent, and he pays like 1/6 of the rent. Now he pays like whatever, like 700 or like he pays like $1,200 a month in rent. But then obviously, as I said, I cover all the bills, utilities, stuff like that. And he comes here quite often. He comes here like 3-4 times. He comes here like once a month, for example. And it's cool because here's the thing, like that's my best friend. I let him stay in my house either way. So the money doesn't really matter, but it's kind of like a cool way for him to come over quite a bit. And then at least like I get some money back off of that. So that's cool. Now I would never ever live with anyone. That's a guarantee. I would never ever live with anyone. I like living alone. And yeah, that's just me personally, but I know a lot of people will like living with someone else. So the cool thing is you get a property like this, and then that actually is divided by 2, rather than taking on the full weight of something like this yourself. Next is utilities. As I said, I pay for everything else in the house. We got gas, and guys, these are just rough estimates. Also, I'm having to convert it from pounds. So gas, $100, water, $100, electricity, $100. Gas and heating, I live in like quite literally the worst energy rated house, but who cares? Like it's already so cheap. I mean, it's not cheap compared to, some energy efficient houses, but hey ho, whatever. Electricity, $100, Wi-Fi, $100. So that comes out to a total of $350 for utilities. Here's where it gets a bit more expensive. Extras. Got a cleaner that comes in once a week for 4 hours. So that comes out to $420 monthly. I have a gardener. This is actually a must. It's in my contract. Basically, last thing the tenant, the landlord wants is, someone to move in and then just not take care of the garden, and then the garden gets ruined. So I actually have to pay $280 a month for a gardener to come in, even though I have a pretty small garden. Then there's council tax. So apart from paying, I already paid crap ton of tax. I still have to pay council tax on top of that. So that's around $250 a month. So that comes out to $950 for these extra things. Next is food and supplies. Now food, every Monday I get food delivered to my house from a service called Ocado. It's pretty high quality food. I'm very careful as to what I put in my body. So food, this is in terms of eating at home, and then food is also stuff like say like Quest bars and other small little things. So I spend roughly around $800 on food at home, and then I spend roughly, this I'm not going to include, but I spend roughly $1,000 eating out a month, because usually I pick up the bill for most people. So that's separate, but food at home is roughly $800. Supplies, so that's stuff like say like I have I have the most expensive Nespresso machine. I do like my coffees. I like my teas. Supplies around the house, like cleaning stuff, detergents, etc., etc. That comes out to roughly $1,100 per month. Now, guys, this will be new for you. For me, this is not new news. So guys, even though I was living in my old house, I still had to pay for everything myself, which I'm glad I did. So, in terms of food and supplies and stuff like that, this is not new to me. So this is not an additional charge of moving into the house. But for a lot of you, if you're living at home, most probably you're not going to have to pay for, stuff like supplies. You're not going to have to pay for stuff like food, because your parents are usually making you food. So this is something that you should take into consideration. For me, it makes no difference, honestly. So the cost of living alone, this is the cost of moving out into my new place. Rent is $3,550 per month. Utilities $350, extras $950, food and supplies $1,100. So total comes out to $5,950. So roughly $6,000. Now, here's the kicker. I'm in the 50% tax bracket, so to pay for my apartment, I actually have to make through my business. Actually, technically, I have to pay 20% corporate tax, so it's more than this. But let's just say, me personally, I have to make $12,000 monthly to live in my home. This is something I just wanted to kind of put in there. Guys, I wanted to put that in there because like not many people talk about taxes. Obviously, if you're spending $5,000 on something, that is the byproduct of income that's then been taxed, and then that's your net income. So that's just something I wanted to throw in there. So you can see how this stuff is really starting to stack up. The challenges you'll face, guys, there's a few challenges you'll face. Now, obviously, I moved out of my house. I moved out of my childhood home into this apartment at the age of 17 before I was even technically an adult. First of all is credit history. So guys, this is how I avoided it. Guys, I don't know how you can avoid it. I don't know. Well, a few things you can do. First of all, you can have a guarantor. Now, I didn't have that. Here's sort of the issues behind it. First of all, I didn't have a father there who could be my guarantor. Unfortunately, my mother, we didn't grow up having much money, so it's not like she has a very good credit history. She really wasn't of much use in that sector. So yeah, basically when it came to guarantor, I was basically fucked. Like I was screwed. There was no one there to act as like a layer of protection, because look, imagine what it looks like, when a 17-year-old tries to move into a $6,000 a month apartment or whatever, like however much rent plus extras. Not too great. It doesn't look too great. So basically what I had to do is I had to pay 6 months ahead of time for rent. So yeah, I paid a total of, I don't remember exactly how much. I think like $30,000 or something for 6 months, something like that. And then once again, I have my second payment where I pay 6 months. And the reason I did that was because that allowed me to avoid credit checks. So basically, they did not credit check me, which is good, because if they credit checked me, obviously they'd see I make a lot of money, but I don't have any sort of solid track record or history. Now, for a lot of you guys, you can just use your parents as guarantors, and it's not an issue at all. Your parents have assets. They have, their assets can be used as collateral. Well, actually, when they're a guarantor, that sort of stuff doesn't even get thrown into the mix. They just look at the fact that your parents can now step in and help you in terms of rent. So for most of you guys, it won't be an issue. For me personally, as someone who grew up with a single mother, not very much money, that's something I had to, that's an issue and a difficulty I had to face. Second was setting up utilities. Now, if you're over 18, don't worry about this. For me, as I was under 18, I had to do everything through my mom, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. Had to do it through her, but then put my own billing information. So, for example, things like gas I couldn't set up, or like things like electricity I couldn't set up through my own name because I was under 18. So the next thing is the confusion of living alone. So guys, I love living alone. I am a lone wolf. I am made for this. Like, living alone is perfect for me. But there's certain responsibilities. Like, at the end of the day, I'm just a kid, recently turned an adult, recently turned 18. But like, living in a nice property like this, having to maintain it. Obviously, life is a lot easier when I wish I was the owner of this. But I'm not the owner of this property. I just rent. So obviously things like, if there's an issue with the boiler, if there's an issue with like anything, I can just talk to my landlord and they get it fixed. But nonetheless, I still have to make sure this place is maintained. I have to get a cleaner, the gardener. I have to just clean up for myself. I have to it really puts things into perspective. And for a lot of people, you won't be ready for it. For me, I mean, I was ready and raring to go. So guys, was it worth it? For me, 100% it was worth it. For you guys, I mean, let's touch on that at the end. So, and this is what I'll be doing in the future. Now, obviously my home here in London, my $3 million home, I have a 1-year lease from December 2017 to December 2018. Obviously I can extend after that, but this is what I'll be doing in the future. After December, I'm going to be traveling. So 6 months traveling, living in a place like Bali, living in a place like LA, Hawaii, stuff like that, just nice places for winter. So 6 months traveling, I'm going to be spending around an average $2,000 a month on rent. and cheap cost of living. So I'll be spending 6 months abroad. Every year I'll be spending, I have to rebalance it, but I'll be spending roughly like November or October to March abroad. And then I'll be coming back to London. I'll be getting a apartment that'll be roughly $10,000 a month, upgrading lifestyle just a little bit, just because, I mean, you know, why not? Hey ho, have a little bit of fun. I'm still living way below my means considering my income and how much I make. So I'll be spending around 6 months in London, getting a let or a lease for 6 months. Obviously, I'll be having a higher burn lifestyle. Everything from the fact that I spend like $1,000 a month to probably or even 1,500 eating out and enjoying things like going clubbing, Uber, just more expensive lifestyle in general. But at least I'm gonna average these two things out. Plus, I don't like London in winter at all, but I love it in summer. So that, guys, that's actually what I'll be doing in the future. So guys, I hope this has been interesting. It shed a bit of light as to how, you know, how much does it actually cost to live on your own or move out. Do I recommend it for most people? No, 100% no. For me, it was firstly the emotional and the emotional side of things that I really, I don't want to go into too much in detail, but I don't have good memories from my childhood home. I really just needed to get away from it and be on my own. It wasn't the right place to work. There was energy and things happening in that house that did not, you know, compel me to be my best and work hard and stuff like that. So I really need to get out. Now, for most people, why would you not just stay at home? Why would you pay the amount plus tax? Because they said, I can't company expense this place. I can company expense like a little amount of it. But, you know, this place cost me a lot in terms of, as I said, the fact that I even have to pay so much tax. Now, why would you pay that? Say, for example, you move out and, you know, between food and rent and stuff like that, it costs you like $3,000 a month. I don't understand why you do that when you could just stay at home. You could stay at home, and just as long as, you know, your family situation at home is okay, you don't live in a complete shithole, then why wouldn't you? I would do it for as long as possible because literally, as I said, it's just an extra expense and it's extra stress. Guys, one thing I need you to understand is when, like, yes, it's nice having a dope crib or having a dope, you know, I'm looking to, if I can even get insured, I've been talking about it for so long, but now at this point, you know, I made that amount of money in a day. I'm looking to buy a Jaguar F-Type coming up in the next few months. You know, having a dope crib or having a dope car, even say like having a Rolex, having a nice watch. This stuff all comes with added stress. You have to take care of the watch. You have to take care of the car. You have to pay for insurance for the car. You have to park the car. You have to, you know, pay road tax. Here, you have to pay for a cleaner, pay for a gardener. So these are all added stresses. And when you have these added stresses around you, it actually takes away from your business and having that clarity and that focus that you can just put towards your business. So if I were you, try and stay at home for as long as possible, just as long as you don't have a bad sort of like family predicament. And just as long as it's a place where you can still work and have the privacy that you need. So yeah, guys, I hope that's really helped. If you are new to this channel, make sure you go ahead and you smash that subscribe button and also turn on post notifications. So guys, I'll see you in tomorrow's video.